My name is Dr. Ruhi Satija. I am a psychiatrist, a therapist, and a mother to a 3-year-old. Today we are going to talk about a very intriguing topic. Why do children lie? When we talk about truth and lie, the judgment is very clear. Being truthful is the right thing to do, and lying, of course, is wrong. But we need to understand that humans are much more complex than a black and white situation. Whenever we are talking about lying in children, we need to first of all understand what makes them lie, what are the motivations behind it, what are the situations that can lead to it, and also, is it really that bad that we are thinking about? Lying is an important developmental milestone. It represents that the children has started understanding that other people in the world can have an alternative perspective towards a situation and can have an opinion different from themselves. They start to understand that whatever they believe in might not be the only thing that can be seen in the situation. So that itself is an interesting development to have. The second thing involved in lying is creative imagination. That means that the child can now play scenarios in their mind, think about different, consequences of lying, and then decide that this one is better for me and this one is not. And then decide that, all right, let me say something different than what actually happened so that maybe I can avoid certain consequences. So it's an interesting perspective to have when we are thinking about child development. Now let's understand what is the motivation behind lying in children. The first thing, of course, is that they want to avoid the punishment. They have done something wrong and they know that there are going to be consequences, so they want to avoid it. So they make up a lie to avoid the consequences of it. But apart from that, there are some white lies. That means they are using the concept of lying to maybe help somebody. Maybe they are helping a sibling or a friend from a difficult situation. Or it could be seeking approval. Many times when mistakenly they have done something, or even knowingly they have done something which knows that they are going to have a problem with a peer or an authority figure, they lie to get that approval or that reassurance that I am still loved and I am still cared about. We need to understand that human brain is much more complex than yes and no situation. So sometimes lying also represents getting their point across and testing boundaries. Children are very smart in checking what they can get away with. So it could be one way of understanding that what is the maximum limit that I can use so that not to frustrate an authority figure or a parent. Apart from these, one of the interesting things about lies is that kids might just be lying because that is what they have imagined. They might not actually realize that what they are sharing is not so true because in their mind it actually happened. Or they can do it simply to avoid an embarrassing situation, or they can do it under peer influence. The need to be accepted in the peer group is quite strong, at least till the teenage. So many times children will involve in situations where they lie because somebody else asked them to or influenced them to. We need to understand that children are hardly malicious. So if they are lying, instead of directly reaching out to a consequence and thinking of a punishment, maybe it would be a good time to understand the motivation behind the lie and then decide what should be the natural consequence of the phenomena. Now what to do? If your child is lying, how are you going to handle the situation? The first thing is you work on your own behavior. You need to calm down and handle the situation wisely because if you will use force or aggression as a reason and every time the child lies, this is the reaction, of course they are going to hide more things from you. It is important that your relationship with your child is of open communication. So they are able to come and talk to you about something that they might have done which they know is wrong. It is important in society, especially ours, where there is a smaller peer group and a family support system, and it is mostly the parents that the kids rely on. So it is important that the child knows that even if they have done something wrong, intentionally or unintentionally, it is a safe place to talk about. But of course, you cannot always ignore the lies. So how are you going to handle it? Focus on the motivation behind the lie. Of course, if it is about just the child saving and not taking responsibility of their action, Definitely, some sort of consequence is required. But if the motivation was peer pressure, like we discussed in the few minutes ago, we need to understand that we need to give a little bit of concession, and maybe making the child understand the consequences of it, of their actions, might be a better strategy rather than focusing on the consequence of the lie. Focus on giving your children high value systems. That means giving them a strong sense of what is right and wrong, so that instead of worrying about just the fact that if they do something wrong, they will be punished, they actually worry more about the consequences of their own action in a bigger span of time. Having open communication, giving them space to talk, and accepting the flaws and understanding that they are human beings after all, just like all of us, is the right way to help nurture the mind of a child and helping them navigate the ways of life. I hope it helps.